I have a riddle for you. I am a cheat class of World of Warcraft. I am tough as a protection paladin. I can heal as well as a priest. I can stealth like a rogue. What am I? Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, Gyro here. Did you guess my riddle? Did you guess it? Yes, we're talking about Druids, the cheat class of World of Warcraft. Today we're looking at a Guardian spec, the lovely bear. And we will be clearing Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar while talking / ranting about how Guardian Druid and Druids generally feel inside of a Horrific Vision when you're doing it solo. Druids are a cheat class. I'm not even gonna try and defend this position. It is a fact of life, and if you don't agree with me, just go play one, because if you played one, you would agree with me already. Druids can stealth, Druids can tank, Druids can heal, Druids can damage from melee range, Druids can damage from ranged range, and Druids are remarkably wonderful. They could resurrect people in the middle of the fight when other classes could not do that. Death Knights didn't exist back then and could not basically use that ability. There were no pets with resurrection abilities and none of that kind of stuff. Druids used to do what nobody else could do. Even the master of all crafts and, the jack of all trades, master of none, the shaman, could not do as much as Druid could always do back then, back in the day. But we are now in 2020, patch 8.3, Shadowlands are not yet upon us, and Druids are overpowered as they always have been. The hardest class to play, as I said in my class guide, but at the same time, if you stick to one particular specialization and pick not the hardest specialization to play, and I can talk to you about that a little bit, don't worry, we will not take too much time, then your life does not have to be very, very hard. It doesn't mean that everything that a Druid does is very difficult. So hardest spec of the Druid is Feral. Feral is, well, reasonably medium effort, kind of intermediate effort to pick up, to learn how to DPS as Feral, and I have not played Feral before I started running Visions, and then I discovered Feral. I'm still not very good with it, but I'm good enough to clear Horrific Visions and enjoy it immensely. Boomkin is also not a very easy class to play, but okay, not bearable, yeah. And the easiest class to play is Guardian. No, I haven't forgotten about Resto, because we're not talking about healing classes. I actually don't think that Druid is very hard to heal on, because they rely on healing over time effects. Essentially, you just need to make sure that they are always blooming and people are standing in the middle of your efflorescence and you will be fine. But we are not reviewing restoration here. We're talking about tanking. So if you are reasonably well geared, like for the content, if you are not under geared for the content you're doing, which I think a ballpark of 450 is just about right to confidently do full clears of Horrific Visions and even push 1 or 2 masks on a tanking spec, I think Guardian Druid is a breeze. Is easy, very, very easy to tank, very, very easy to beat the content. They have issues and we'll talk about them. I will just do a quick nod in case you have not watched my other videos towards the fact that I have all essential key soloer, Horrific Vision soloer talents of Mother's Archives unlocked on this character. I have 449 item level, I have the cloak rank 15, so this particular character, this particular Druid, and I have a few of them, 2 or 3, I cannot remember exactly, this particular Druid is very well set up for this type of content. Now, all my specializations, all my kind of tanking, DPS, healing setups, in case again you're new to my content, welcome guys, particular warm welcome to you, are set up around minimizing the number of buttons I press, if I can. If spec through talents usually allows us to minimize the number of abilities I can press, I do that. Generally, that's how I play, and I enjoy focusing more on what's going on around me as opposed to on the next ability to press. That's just me, okay? If you are different, share your impressions. I welcome you to my little club, and we don't have to 100% align on this. The beauty of Guardian Druid is the fact that like I said, if you are not undergeared, severely undergeared, you simply are inadequately geared for the content, which I am not in this particular case, tanking process is very, very, very easy. It's even easier than on Protection Paladin. And I know that I just released the video where I told you about Protection Paladin remaining my weapon of choice when it comes to tanking. Why? Because I like easy, right? I'm not even hiding that me, Gyro, I like it easy. Well, because Protection Paladin just feels kind of... Protection Paladin's abilities synergize a little bit better. And I am in a little bit of a trouble here, as you can see. If I get a bit too cocky and I pull too many targets, please pay attention and we'll get back to this. I am not... There is no Ghastly Goulash, there is no self-sustain food buff right now on me. Please pay attention to that. We will come back to this. I'm so confident in my tanking ability, not as a skill, but as a class, as a gear, as all of that comes with the bear, that I did not bother eating Ghastly Goulash before this run. I did not. Spoiler alert, there will be a point when I will eat it in the middle of this run, so stay tuned, yeah? So, Druid is very easy to tank with, but I still like Paladin simply because of how they cast their shield, how consecration works, how block works. I simply like how Paladin feels. But in order for you to do, you know, a bearable job at tanking or be in a tanking spec and clear horrific vision, as a Druid you have to press either just as many buttons as a Protection Paladin would or fewer, which in my book is a winner. So it's not necessarily my favorite tank, like I said. I don't know, I align with the Paladin better. Paladin just works better for me overall. But when I switched to Druid, when I did this run, I did enjoy the boredom of it. Now let this sink. Does it make sense to you? I enjoyed the boredom of it. Not everything in our lives has to be challenging. And it still perfectly aligns with my general preaching on this channel, where I say to you guys, World of Warcraft is a game. Please, at the very least, when you're chilling on my channel, and that's why I invite you to stay, always, especially if you're new here, subscribe, stay, you're welcome. I encourage you to have fun. I discourage you from trying to be competitive. The competition is in every aspect of our lives, and I don't want to turn this into a church of Gyro. Let's talk about real life here. There are way too many challenges. Game is designed to offer you a kind of solace and offer you a form of escapism, which is why I think it's very healthy and it's it's a good thing, okay, that game works this way. Which is why I think this attitude of mine is partially reflected in the way I play as well. I don't just play, but I also play a certain way in a non-stressful way. I like when things are easy. I like when result is not given for nothing. I want to work for it. Horrific visions certainly make me work for it, alright? But at the same time, I enjoy simple classes. Paladin, Protection Paladin specifically, is one of those classes. Druid is yet another level. Druid is yet another level that simplifies it even further. I can be a tank. I can just chill and swipe everyone, claw everyone and swipe. I basically, if you noticed, like 80% of the time, and no, I'm not gonna show you statistic, right? But 80% of the time, the way I tank on a Druid, until that mangle, the first button lights up, yes, I press it then, but generally, 80% of the time, if not more, I just push swipe and I push thrash. I push number 2 and I push number 5. I just swipe. I swipe everything, and periodically I obviously push Iron Fur, which is bound to my wheel down, mouse wheel down, which looks like the scaled icon. I don't even know why. But I just put Iron Fur on and that's it. I also heal myself with Frenzied Regeneration, which my healing spells generally when I set up my UI, so that there is some resemblance, because I play a lot of classes, I usually bind my self heals to 6. It's just how it's configured on my Razer Nostromo, good old Razer Nostromo. It's not a joystick, but it's like a keypad, yeah? I use that keypad. I don't play on a normal keyboard. So, tanking process, or keeping aggro, or inflicting damage through bleeds mainly, because Thrash puts bleeds on everyone. It's not just attracting mobs to you and does direct damage as Swipe would do, or as as Maul would do, or as Mangle even would do. It actually leaves a bleed effect. Bleed effects stack up to 3 times when you thrash 3 times. So it's fantastic. Like, doing damage on a Druid, whether it's Feral, whether it's Guardian, is actually great, because in many cases I'm able to simply slowly wear my mobs down. Get them all together and wear them down. If you paid attention to the talents that I showed to you at the very beginning of the run, and you should if you didn't, go back, have a look. One of the talents that I took, and I know it's a tiny bit of damage, but it's still damage, is Brambles. Brambles is something that I think adds like basically effect of a spike to your fur, and it basically reflects a bit of damage to melee attackers. So imagine when you make everything bleed, you do that reflective damage, and you just generally can practically withstand so much punishment that it's not even funny while running around. You continue running around. It's just great. It's just great. The only weak point of this particular character, this particular build, is the fact that, believe it or not, with Cloak rank 15, so I've done God knows how many runs on him as a Boomkin, as a Feral, as a Guardian, like you've been watching, right? My channel, and if you haven't, you should. But I do not have any good corruption effects, just like on my Rogue, who I reported on not long ago. Just like on my Rogue, at the moment, at least of recording of this video, I did not have enough Echoes of Ny'alotha to buy any good corruption effect. I know we can buy corruption effects now, but because I have so many characters, it doesn't mean that I'm farming sufficient amount of Echoes, for example, to always have 10,000 or 15,000 to buy something rank 3, Twilight Devastation, Infinite Stars, whatever. So he doesn't have anything good, really. I have some stat boosters, I have some stat booster corruptions, but basically nothing else to write home about, as I say. So it's, like I said, again, to summarize this, I think that tanking on a bear or doing Horrific Vision solo on a bear is pleasant boredom. Pleasant boredom. You just run around and swipe everything, basically, like 80% of the time, 90% of the time, that's all you do. Your output on individual targets, on single targets, is low. Damage output is low. That's why if you want to be competitive, if you want to invest into this, if you want to push masks, you will need to rely on something like Twilight Devastation or something like Infinite Stars. Basically, that's it. Or Gushing Wound, maybe, if you're lucky to get it, but somehow in all my runs I think I got Gushing Wound only once, and maybe I was just ridiculously unlucky. I know it's random, but sometimes it feels like it's not random. Sometimes it feels like certain characters, certain roles in the game, they're predisposed by Blizzard, by some random role there behind the scenes, by some invisible variable, to get particular types of corruptions, but not other types. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, okay? What happens here is that, you know, the Orgrimmar, the famous skip of Orgrimmar, of Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar, where you turn sharp left and go along the shadowy wall of shadowy energy of N'Zoth, as you skip all the central area of Rexxar's area to reach the hut where Rexxar is. We turn sharp left and go into that shadow. We go that way. So I go there and I look at my health, and especially with the shadowy things popping up, with the madness of shadowy things that are stunning you popping up, even with me trying to heal myself, I can see that the ticking damage of that area is just too hard, even for a tank, even for a bear. So I'm like, I'm out of here, guys. I just came out, ate a goulash, and then I was feeling much better about it. So that probably was the only twist that you could expect from me in this run, and this is why it's interesting, because this just proves what I said to you earlier in one of my earlier videos, where I said to you something like, I think it was on a Paladin, I think it was on a Protection Paladin, where I basically said to you, regardless of how tough Paladin is, you need to have a foot buff if you want to do a skip in Orgrimmar, this skip. And you need this skip, guys. You do. It saves you a heap of time, okay? It saves you a heap of time. And even being a tough class, even being able to throw yourself healing over time effect on yourself, even with any of that, you still will notice that even with the ghastly goulash and being tough and throwing these heals on yourself, you will still be taken pretty much down to nothing as far as health is concerned. It's a tough skip. It's a tough skip, but it's doable and it's highly recommended. You should definitely practice it if you're trying to beat your earlier time in Horrific Visions, or if you're trying to simply make it and before you were like, I'm just running out of sanity, I can't do anything. Well, this is your way to do it. In Orgrimmar you can, in Stormwind you can't, which is another reason why Stormwind is much harder. Other than that, I already said everything you need to know. My rank of the cloak, my reduction of sanity loss, and my obviously talents, Mother's Archives talents, the Gift of the Titans in this particular case, allowed me to simply take my time. I don't dish out that much damage, I don't, and I don't have good corruptions, I don't, but I can be there all day, virtually, if I have to, if I want to. And that's how, basically, that's the secret of how you win as a druid in this case. The cheat class of World of Warcraft. I still think that they cheat and I love them. I love them. So Rexa goes down. I am just going to finish off Thrall. Wish you all the best with the rest of your next couple of days until you speak to me virtually once again. Talk to me in the comments down below. Do you play a cheat class? Do you play a cheat class in World of Warcraft? Do you like cheat classes of World of Warcraft? Why do you like cheat classes of World of Warcraft? You naughty person. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Watch the tail end of this. Tune in next time in 2 weeks time, in 2 days, oh god, not 2 weeks, 2 days time, and we'll be talking about something else. I'll talk to you then. Bye.